Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 3, which is entitled The Status Quo. Chapter 2, entitled Remembrance of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And this morning we're doing text number 14. So without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vraja-striyo Yashodanandana Vraja-striyo Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vraja-striyo Yashodanandana Vraja-striyo Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivājagasacharya Stotra Satasishimāris Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivājagasacharya Stotra Satasishimāris Divine Grace Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivāsadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Ganga Mayi Ki Jai, Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta-vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gaur. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the Lord's feet of Sri Guru and Gauranga. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Tinamani Namaste Krishna Varaya Prabhupada Siddhartman Shri Gaura Kavla Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Tinamani Narayana Namaskritya Narom Devam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashta Prayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamastuki Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 14. yasyānurāga-pluta-hāsa-rāsa līlāvaloka-pratilabdha-mānāḥ vraja-striyo anupravṛtta dhiyo vatasthuḥ kila kṛtya-śeṣāḥ yasyānurāga-pluta-hāsa-rāsa līlāvaloka-pratilabdha-mānāḥ vraja-striyo anupravṛtta dhiyo vatasthuḥ kila kṛtya-śeṣāḥ yasyānurāga-pluta-hāsa-rāsa līlāvaloka-pratilabdha-mānāḥ vraja-striyo anupravṛtta dhiyo vatasthuḥ kila kṛtya-śeṣāḥ. Hare Krishna.
yasyānurāga-pluta-hāsa-rāsa līlāvaloka-pratilabdha-mānāḥ vraja-striyo dṛgbhir anupravṛtta dhiyo vatasthuḥ kila kṛtya-śeṣāḥ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
yasyānurāga-pluta-hāsa-rāsa līlāvaloka-pratilabdha-mānāḥ vraja-striyo dṛgbhir anupravṛtta dhiyo vatasthuḥ kila kṛtya-śeṣāḥ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
yasyānurāga-pluta-hāsa-rāsa līlāvaloka-pratilabdha-mānāḥ vraja-striyo dṛgbhir dhiyo vatasthuḥ kila kṛtya-śeṣāḥ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
yasyānurāga-pluta-hāsa-rāsa līlāvaloka-pratilabdha-mānāḥ vraja-striyo dṛgbhir anupravṛtta dhiyo vatasthuḥ kila kṛtya-śeṣāḥ. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we do word for word now. Yasya, whose, anuraga, attachment, pluta, enhanced by, hasa, laughter, rasa, humors, lila, pastimes, avaloka, glancing, pratilabdha, obtained thereof, mana, anguished, vraja-striyo, damsels of Vraj, dṛgbhir, with the eyes, anupravṛtta, following, dhiyo, by intelligence, vatasthuḥ, sat silently, kila, indeed, kṛtya-śeṣāḥ, without finishing household duties. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The damsels of Vraj, after pastimes of laughter, humor, and exchanges of glances, were anguished when Kṛṣṇa left them. They used to follow him with their eyes, and thus they sat down with stunned intelligence and could not finish their household duties. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In his boyhood at Vrindavan, Lord Kṛṣṇa was notorious as a teasing friend in transcendental love to all the girls his age. His love for them was so intense that there is no comparison to that ecstasy. And the damsels of Vraj were so much attached to him that their affection excelled that of the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. Lord Kṛṣṇa finally admitted his defeat before the transcendental affection of the gopis and declared that he was unable to repay them for their unalloyed affection. Although the gopis were seemingly anguished by the Lord's teasing behavior, when Kṛṣṇa would leave them, they could not tolerate the separation and used to follow him with their eyes and minds. They were so stunned by the situation that they could not finish their household duties. No one could excel him even in the dealing of love exchanged between boys and girls. It is said that in the revealed scriptures that Lord Kṛṣṇa personally never goes beyond the boundary of Vrindavan. He remains there eternally because of the transcendental love of the inhabitants. Thus, even though he is not visible at present, he is not away from Vrindavan for a moment. Om Gyanati Virandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Amritam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Midati Swapadatika Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Kacharini Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarani Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guratiche Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, the English translation again. The damsels of Vraj, after pastimes of laughter, humor, and exchanges of glances, were anguished when Kṛṣṇa left them. They used to follow him with their eyes, and thus they sat down with stunned intelligence and could not finish their household duties. Hare Krishna. By the way, I'm sitting in for Vishnu Prabhu, who is traveling at the time. So, anyway, whenever there's mention in the Shastra of the damsels of Vraj and Kṛṣṇa and their relationship, it's always very special. The Nectar of Devotion describes so many examples and the emotions that come with the relationship between Kṛṣṇa and the gopis, the cowherd ladies. So this is no different in terms of explaining to us what love is like. For us as conditioned souls, we're beginning the whole journey of learning to love Kṛṣṇa again. We were in love with Kṛṣṇa in the spiritual world, but because we thought of being our own controllers, being our own masters, rather than being servants of Kṛṣṇa, we decided to try for that position, but you can't try for that position in the spiritual world. So we had to be put in a place where we could make believe that we were controllers, and that is the material world. But Krishna's love first showed by trying to get us not to come to the material world. We didn't hear that part. So we wound up here, wanting to be controllers ourselves. But Kṛṣṇa, because of his love and his mercy, followed us in his incarnation as the super soul, followed us to the material world. So that's the situation we're in now. And in that whole process, we forgot how to actually love Kṛṣṇa. We tried to be controllers in the material world, tried to do things outside of God. And then later we heard religion. And a percentage of the people in the world have now latched on to different religions. But they don't go deep enough as to the understanding of love that has to develop between the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. Fortunately, through lifetimes of trying to know God, we've got to the point now that arguably, and in my mind, without a doubt, the highest form of relating to God is now being revealed to us through the Parampara. The one that revealed to us, connected to the Parampara, is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. And He even formed a society to propagate that same knowledge to the rest of the world. So here we are, learning to love Kṛṣṇa again. But the gopis, they love Kṛṣṇa naturally. And in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the very first volume, it's in actually three volumes actually, but the very first volume, Narada Muni was finding out the person who's gotten the most mercy, the person who's the greatest in terms of his connection with Kṛṣṇa. Narada Muni went different places and met different personalities, from kings here on the earth to the higher planets, and practically everybody you know on the higher planets by now that you know, meaning the Lord Brahmas and Lord Shivas, and that he saw all of them. And why did he go see all of them? Well, he saw them one after another. Because as he praised the one that he met, saying that that person is the one that's gotten the most mercy because of their affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that person said, no, I'm not the one that's gotten the most. If you want to find out who has the most, then it's not me. And then they will suggest someone else that is related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also try to prove that the person that they picked, that they thought is the most, received the most mercy and the greatest connection with the Lord. They will try to prove that. They will try to convince Narada Muni. And Narada Muni will take their word for it, and then will leave. Narada Muni likes to travel. So, as part of his service, he will go to the abode of that person and praise them. And that person said, no, I'm not the one that has gotten the most mercy. So this went on and on and on and on. Former king here, actually it was a Brahmin, and they did such a wonderful activity in doing a puja, sacrifice to the Lord. Narada Muni happened to be in the audience, those participating. And so when he finished, then Narada Muni came to the Brahmin and says, you did such excellent work. You're the one that's received the most mercy from the Lord. Then the Brahmin said, it's not me. Go to this particular town. The king that's there, he's gotten everybody involved in Kṛṣna consciousness. So much love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is there. So you'll see. And Narada Muni thanked him, and he went to the town. I forget the name of that particular place they went to. It's been a while since I read Bhagavatamrita. This is the first volume. So he went there, Narada Muni, and before he even met the king, he could see the people who were in the town, how connected they were to spirituality. So he saw even more than what the Brahmin described about the place. And when he met the king, he said, oh, you're the one that's got the most mercy. Look at you and, citizens and how they connect to the Lord. The king said, not me, not me, not me. You go to the heavenly planets, go to Indra. Then he says so many things about indisposition in relationship to the Lord. So then, Narada Muni went to Svagaloka and began to praise Indra, talking about how Indra has gotten so much mercy from the Lord. Indra looked at me and says, Nana, are you laughing at me? What's the but are you saying that? This is the only part, the only personality that's questioned Narada Muni like that. You laughing at me? Me got the mercy of the Lord? You forgot Govardhan Hill, the Lord lifted Govardhan Hill. What did I do for the Lord to lift Govardhan Hill? Was he happy with me then? And now you're going to come tell me that I've got the most mercy? No, 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 no. So one after another. He went to Brahma. Brahma says, well, I stole the cows and the cowherd boys. Was Krishna happy with me? No, so it's not me. But the whole story is, it wound up being in Dwarka. Somebody directed him to Dwarka. So Narada Muni went to Dwarka. And from Dwarka, the gopis were mentioned as the ones that have the greatest love. So of course, Krishna was in Dwarka. Balaram was in Dwarka. Narada Muni came to Dwarka. And when he said that the residents of Dwarka are the ones that have gotten the greatest love of the Lord, then they said, no, it has to be the gopis. Now Krishna heard it. And Krishna began to miss the gopis. And Krishna started crying. And he was crying loudly. Some of his wives came and said, what's going on? This is all about, we have our time. This is a short summary of book 1, volume 1. This is all about love connected to Krishna, though. And the reason we're talking about it is because of the love that the gopis have for Krishna, which is exactly this text and how it's describing it. Anyway, so it began through all of this, one person turning Narada Muni attention to someone else, thinking that they have, or proving that they have the greatest love. It turned out to be the gopis. But before that, in Dwarka, there was a funny incident. As Krishna began to miss the gopis and he broke down, and Balaram came. Balaram also broke down. They broke down means that they started crying, actually, because of their love, the intense love for the gopis. And then Krishna basically passed out from crying like that. He just, it's almost like he went into a, he didn't get, well, let's just put it this way. He went into like a sleep state. He started sleeping. So after this being so overwhelmed with remembrance of the gopis, I don't want to use the word fainted because he didn't faint, but he drifted into like a nap. That's what happened. And the worry was, Brahma had also come to Dwarka. The worry was, why is Krishna feeling this way and what can we do to help him? Since he's missing Vrindavan and the gopis so much, why don't we try to create, and they were in Dwarka now, remember that, that's what makes it funny. Why don't we try to create a scene, like a Vrindavan scene, and make Krishna believe that he's in Vrindavan, and maybe that would just calm him down. So when he was in the sleep state now, Balaram was also in the sleep state, but he woke up. Balaram woke up earlier. And so now the Muni described this. They got Vishwakarma to come. Brahma was there. And they decided that they were going to make a scene in Dwarka to make it resemble Vrindavan. Now, if you know where Dwarka is, it's surrounded by the ocean, right? So Vishwakarma started making figures of the gopis, and Vishwakarma is expert. He made a replica of Srimati Radharani and the other gopis, Lalita, Vishaka, and all of that. And then they tried to make a scene in Vrindavan. And when they finished, Krishna woke up. And when he woke up, he saw the replicas of Srimati Radharani and the gopis, and they were trying to tell him, everybody, Queen Balaram was in on it too, trying to tell, I know you went into this Krishna, this whole state because you were missing Vrindavan. Well, here's Vrindavan. We've taken you to Vrindavan. Krishna said, yeah. So he went straight, he saw Srimati Radharani, he looked exactly like Srimati Radharani. Vishwakarma's expertise is, at such a high level. And so Krishna tried to speak to Srimati Radharani, but Srimati Radharani's replica was what was there. So of course the replica did not respond. So now Krishna thought that the gopis were stunned. Srimati Radharani was stunned upon seeing Krishna. The very text that we have today describes it also. But that was the real situation. That's what the real gopis, not with the replicas, put together by Vishwakarma. So, but Krishna thought that way though. And for a while, it was working. Krishna just thought that the gopis get into all kinds of moods. Therefore, if they won't speak to me, it must be a good reason connected with their love for me so much. And he had just awakened. Then he heard the ocean's waves. And he thought, there is no ocean in Vrindavan. So how am I hearing the ocean waves? And then he thought about it and he asked Balaram, I can hear the ocean. Where am I? This is Vrindavan? So finally they had to break the truth and tell him, no, it's actually not Vrindavan. We tried to create it here, but because you were so connected with the gopis, we had to try to do something about this. Your situation, how you were feeling. So it got to the point where now they all told Radharani, they all told Narada Muni that the gopis are the ones that have the greatest connection and the greatest mercy and the greatest love from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they're the ones that love him so much. So this is a quick summary of Volume 1 of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Now, in this text, the connection to it is from the translation itself. The damsels of Vraja, were laughing, they were going through all kinds of humorous exchanges with Kṛṣṇa. Then Kṛṣṇa had to go. Kṛṣṇa didn't disappear. Sometimes in the Dasa dance he may disappear. But this one he just left. He had to go. And they immediately got feelings of anguish. As it says in Nectar of Devotion, there's so many feelings that are there. So this text says that they used to follow him with their eyes, and thus they sat down with stunned intelligence. They were stunned, and they couldn't even finish their household duties. So apparently this, I don't know, but I'll assume that of course they were, they had to go to their houses if they weren't there at the time, but their thoughts of Kṛṣṇa were set so high and their love for him was so much, they couldn't even, get their regular household duties done. So Srila Prabhupada says in his boyhood at Vrindavan, Lord Krishna is notorious as a teasing friend in transcendental love to all the girls his age. He teases them a lot because one time in Vrindavan, when the girls were in the water, they were having a great time, Krishna sneaks out behind them, takes their clothes, and puts it on top of a tree, and then he gets their attention by making them realize that he's around, and of course the gopis have taken practically all the clothes off, and they want their clothes, and Krishna will not give it to them. They even threatened Krishna that we will report you to Nanda Maharaj, what you've done. Krishna says, yeah. Some of the cowherd boys were there also. Yeah, we dare you to come out of the water and go the way you are to Nanda Maharaj's house and tell on us. We dare you. You don't have any clothes on. You're going to be walking in Vrindavan like that to go to my father's house? So, of course, finally they realized that they were defeated. And they said, okay, well, we're going to give you a clothes back, but on condition, one condition, that there are certain rules that we're going to establish, and you're going to have to agree to them, you gopis. So one thing after another, they felt defeated. So then the cowherd boys line, only one person, I'm not sure it's Sridham or Sridham, was one of them, one of the two of them, started putting out the conditions. When we come to your houses and we take butter or we take yogurt, don't report us. You agree? The gopi says, yes, we agree. And what did they do? I says, you have to agree to everything that they say before you can get your clothes back. So one thing after another, everything that they do in mischief, they put it out, the cowherd boys put it out, and got the gopis to agree that they won't do anything about it. This is how, in the end, they finally got their clothes back. But they still thought that it was funny, the way Krishna treated them. So the damsels of Vraja and the pastimes, laughter, humor, and exchanges. And speaking about that, in Sri Sri Prayo Bhakti Rasanava, this is the ocean of mellows, transcendental mellows between Krishna and the cowherd boys. There's also similar things there. So much humor. Krishna is into telling jokes. Sometimes he teases. Gopis he teases a lot, but with the cowherd boys, they tell jokes and they do mock fighting and all of that. But that's also part of what they do when they're doing, caring for the cows. So what is called work? That doesn't exist in the spiritual world. It's all fun. It's all fun. But when you hear them talk, especially in this one that says they couldn't finish their household duties, nobody is struggling to work to earn a living like that. It's not in the same way. Everything is done nicely. It's done from the heart. Service in the spiritual world is voluntary. Service in the spiritual world is voluntary. And this is Srila Prabhupada's words that I'm quoting. I'm not making it up. He says, people serve because they love the Lord and they want to do something nice for the Lord. So the whole service attitude is based on love. It's based on the fact that people care about Krishna and they want Krishna to feel happy about what they do for him. This is what underlies the quote-unquote work. So if you're trying to help, if you're trying to do something for somebody because you care about them, do you call that work? No. Not at all. Not at all. So that is the basis. This is what we are being told or being guided first through instructions to finally get to the habit of serving, and then getting even the higher emotion, which means serve with love. Serve with love the devotees. And the trick behind this, and the condition behind this is we have to practice loving devotees first. We cannot jump to Krishna Prema without having good relationships among devotees. The first thing about the don'ts is don't offend devotees. If you offend anyone, you cannot love a person you offend. So first, everybody has to be treated at least cordially, And we should be willing to also serve based on what anyone that comes in our lives, in our space, and we've had a conversation with them, what they need, try to help them with that. Be honest with yourself. Do what you can do, but you have to also help, serve, do things to please the other person, show care like that. And then from that, you'll find it easier to relate to the spiritual master. If you don't serve devotees and learn to love devotees by serving devotees and think you're just going to serve the spiritual master, you immediately in the third class level. We cannot ignore devotees as far as caring for them. And say, oh, I'm going to care for the spiritual master. Everyone that relates to Krishna, as it says here, they relate wonderfully to Krishna. But they relate wonderfully to themselves too, first. Everybody thinks about Krishna. But around themselves, they also have to go on with life. Their life is eternal too enough. And we are also going to go to an eternal life. We actually have eternal life in terms of the soul being eternal. But this body will have to leave at some point because this body is a prison type suit in the material world. So basically, these are there for us to learn. And these texts are very, very important for us to learn about the sweetness that's there in relating to Krishna. So Krishna's love for the gopis was so intense that there is no comparison to that ecstasy. And the damsels of Vraja, they feel that. They know. So they're also very much attached to him. That, as Srila Prabhupada says, the demigods like Brahma and Shiva, their love for Krishna, Brahma and Shiva, and their love for Krishna doesn't compare to the love by the damsels of Raj, the gopis, for the Supreme Lord. They loved him so much, he had to tell them, I'm defeated. The competition between my love for you, showing love for you, and the way you show love for me, you won. Krishna is telling the gopis, I can't repay you for the kind of unalloyed affection that you have for me. So the gopis are a great example. That's why the Brihad Bhagavatamrita Volume 1 was done that way, where Narada Muni actually finally got to the conclusion, after traveling so many personalities and saying that they were the ones that had gotten the greatest mercy of the Lord in love, that it turned out to be the gopis. So one point was made about the gopis and about actually Krishna also. So Krishna left and they became stunned. The gopis became stunned. But Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that Krishna actually has two situations, and there's references for that too that we'll get to. Sometimes he's visible, sometimes even the word manifest is used, and sometimes unmanifest, but it never means that he leaves. He never leaves the boundary of Vrindavan. And Krishna is also absolute. Everything about Krishna is Krishna. So if we give thoughts to Krishna, or the gopis give thoughts to Krishna, that draws Krishna to them. They have him. So we can't be like that. But but Krishna can be because of his absolute nature. So Krishna, just by the gopis thinking of him, from that sense, he always remains eternally in Vrindavan. Now, in Srimad Bhagavatam, this same chapter that we are on, Canto 3, Chapter 2, there was a description of Prakata and Aprakata. Prakat and Aprakat. When the Lord's pastimes are visible to the human eye, when we can see what he's doing, well, let's say those who are with him can see what he's doing. They are called Prakat, and when they are not visible, they're called Aprakat. So the Lord's pastimes never really stop. Just like, the greatest comparison we can make, and we're so used to that, is the sun. We know now that the sun never leaves the sky. But the sun at some place it's there, we can see, and sometimes it's not visible to us. So sometimes it is visible, sometimes it is invisible, but invisible does not mean that it is left. It's still there. So in the same way, pastimes of the Lord are always current in one universe or another. When Lord Krishna disappears from transcendental abode of Dwarka, it's just simply a disappearance from the eyes of the people. So when the sun goes and we get darkness, we cannot see where the sun is. Srila Prabhupada has given the example that when the sun is in India, and India is seeing, those in India are seeing the sun, those in America are not, and vice versa. Also in Madhya, Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 13. Srila Prabhupada describes in the purport of text 155 the same thing, prakat and aprakat. Krishna has two kinds of presence, prakat and aprakat, manifest and unmanifest. Now, for a sincere devotee, both are identical. Why? Because there is seeing Krishna, then there's seeing Krishna in the mind's eye. It's the same Supreme Personality. Therefore, in that sense, they are identical, prakat and aprakat, manifest and unmanifest. So Krishna, when he's not physically present, the devotee's constant absorption in the affairs of Krishna makes him always present. And that's the point that that Srila Prabhupada is making. And even quoting Brahma Samhita, the popular chapter 5, text 38, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hidayesu Vilakayanti Yam Sama Sundamachinta Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Those whose eyes are tinged with the salve of love, they can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead all of the time. So the pure devotee always sees the Lord present within his heart. Now, purification is not for some people, and other people are deprived of it. No. Everybody can head towards purification. And the more you hear and the more you chant, you're actually being purified. His Holiness Hridayananda Maharaj, the other day in Gitanagari, the other day, actually, not other day, it's been decades back, a few decades back, he described that the purification takes place through Krishna. We cannot purify ourselves. Krishna will purify us. But we need to hear, we need to chant, and we need to serve. And most importantly, we need to keep our bhakti creeper safe by not offending other devotees. As soon as you offend that sunyarada, aparad, then basically the chances of even going back to Godhead is being sabotaged. So we got to be careful. My Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, described that the sign of a person who is advanced, a devotee who is advanced, is that he's careful, he or she is very careful not to offend other devotees. To be careful about aparad. And a simple definition of aparad, how do you offend? You make the person uncomfortable. If you make that person uncomfortable by our comments, then you're offending. So we always have to find nice ways of saying some things. And in some situations, we have to look seriously. Is this affecting my life? If it's not affecting my life so much, it's just a comment. Sometimes we have to forget about it. In other words, there's patience and tolerance, both that need to be there. So the experts, gopis, they just live like that. All glories to Govinda. Lord Brahma is saying the primeval personality of Godhead. Due to his intense love, not Krishna's intense love, the devotee's intense love, the pure devotee always sees Lord Krishna present within his heart. And he's trying, Srila Prabhupada is trying to get us to get to that point. Purification is for everyone. To become a pure devotee is open to everyone. Everyone has that opportunity. We hear, we chant, we serve, and stay away from offenses, then we'll be purified. Even to the point where the four regulative principles, if there's one or two that some people, devotees, are struggling with, if we're sincere in our chanting, and we pray, because prayer is also one of the 9 processes of loving devotional service to the Lord. Ask for his help. He will purify us. It is definitely achievable. But we have to also understand one thing. To get bhakti means, or to live with bhakti means, you want to get to the point where Krishna will give himself to us. And he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything in existence came from him. As he describes Aham Sarvasya Bhavava. So, Mata Sarva Bhavati, everything. Everything. The wise people, they know. Iti Matma Vajantivam Buddha Bhava Samambita. And that's the Lord. And the Lord is that high in terms of being the source of everything material and spiritual. And to have him give of himself to a devotee, is it going to be a cheap process? The Lord, that is the source of all existence, is going to pay attention to us and give himself to us. And it's going to be a cheap process to get there? Of course not. There's mercy built in. There's definitely mercy built in, because if we make the effort to live a devotee life, the full devotee life, and be determined to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, whatever the faults are, we go to the anatta-nibhiti, getting rid of these unwanted desires. Kṛṣṇa, just for our efforts, will give us his mercy. Spiritual master will give us his mercy. And we'll be able to go back to Godhead. Why? Because only thing we need to do is put in our effort. But Kṛṣṇa himself wants us back. That's why he's come as a super soul, to try to guide us back. That's why he comes personally. And he performs pastimes, so we see how wonderful that he is. Pastimes and his pure devotees come with him so that we see the way the līlas unfold. We see some of it, we hear some of it, but there's an unlimited situation that is in the spiritual world, so that we would get rid, mentally disconnect from material life, and take only what's necessary from here for just this body, but prepare to go back to Godhead. So devotees who are always absorbed in thoughts of Kṛṣṇa will soon see Kṛṣṇa's face, without a doubt. Srila Prabhupada says, if we are absorbed, and there's so many things in the material world sometimes to distract us, but we have to be determined. When we chant the holy name of the Lord, we have pictures surrounding us in the rooms that we are in. We have our listening devices tuned to hearing lectures about Kṛṣṇa. So we have our senses, more of our senses, connected with remembrance of Kṛṣṇa. That way, then we have Kṛṣṇa on our mind constantly, just like the pure devotees have Kṛṣṇa on their minds constantly. And if you want to see Kṛṣṇa, and Kṛṣṇa is a loving being, you would definitely see him. This is how we get back to Godhead. So finally, the gopis, it explained, they were stunned. Kṛṣṇa's beauty in Canto 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the summary part. Kṛṣṇa's beauty attracts the minds of all. When he plays upon his flute, those in Siddhaloka, they become attracted to him. The bulls, the cows, and the other animals, they also become stunned. Not just the gopis only, they also become stunned in ecstasy, and they stand so still. They are chewing grass. This is what bulls and cows do. But they'll stop chewing. Don't want to make any kind of noise with the chewing, so that they can hear the flute in its totality, the sound of the flute. And they stand straight. Even the rivers stop flowing. So the flute, and especially in Nectar of Devotion, so many pages are devoted to Kṛṣṇa's flute and the effect that it has. When Kṛṣṇa's flute is being played by him, the cranes, the birds called the cranes, the swans, and other birds in all the lakes, they close their eyes in deep meditation. So there is so much that Kṛṣṇa and his flute has has as an effect on so many of living entities that get the opportunity to hear the flute of Kṛṣṇa. Gopis were stunned due to their love for Kṛṣṇa. And Bhagavatam Canto 10, chapter 46, and text 5, the last one that I want to talk about, is gopis being stunned due to their love for Krishna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, he says that among the countless millions, Sri Krishna is the most dear of all. And he's dearer to one's own self. This is the gopis feeling that way. So the gopis realize this fact, and that's why they're stunned when Krishna separates from them because of the intense love for him. And we'll throw one more in. That is Rukmini being stunned by Krishna. Rukmini cracked the joke. I mean, sorry, not Rukmini cracking the joke. Krishna cracked the joke. I apologize. Krishna cracked the joke, Rukmini. After Rukmini came, he was in Dwarka, married to Krishna, he's the first queen. And one time, Krishna decided to play a joke on Rukmini. And she was so much in love with Krishna. But then he knew what had happened, that Rukmini, who is a brother of Rukmini, had tried to get Rukmini married to Shishupal, one of the kings. By the way, he also was one that did not like Krishna at all. But Rukmini wrote a letter to Krishna. And the letter was sent by a trusted delivery person, one of the associates of Rukmini. And Krishna read it, and Rukmini had requested that Krishna should come abduct her, take her out of all of these these kings who had come to the Swayamvara thinking that they could get Rukmini because she didn't want any of them. So Krishna comes, and Balaram also brought the army, and because the kings were obviously going to fight if Rukmini is taken away like that. So this is all finished. Rukmini has come, and now Krishna decides to play a joke on Rukmini. So Krishna says, when a man and a woman share the same social class and influence and physical beauty and so on, then the marriage or friendship can flourish between them. But out of short-sightedness, your short-sightedness, you Rukmini, you have accepted a husband who lacks every good quality and is glorified by beggars. Better you had married some of the prominent warriors. Then you might have been happy in this life and even the next life. And your brother Rukmini and the kings like Shishupal, they all hate me. And it was only to cut down their pride that I kidnapped you. But as for such things like the body, the home, wife, and children, personally, I'm indifferent to them. It's not something I think about so much, because I'm the self-satisfied Atmaram, personality of Godhead, transcendental to all material affairs. Then Krishna stopped speaking, and Rukmini's confidence was destroyed when she heard that Krishna is saying, I should have married one of the kings. I wrote a whole letter saying that I didn't want to. Now Krishna is saying that. So then Rukmini got stunned and began to cry in extreme fear and pain and sadness. And then she fell unconscious because Rukmini became gullible, meaning that she thought that Krishna actually meant what he was saying. But Krishna was only playing. So, so then Krishna basically backtracked and explained to Rukmini, I'm only joking. I have so much compassion for you. She picked her up. He picked her up from the floor and caressed her and face and consoled her and all of that. He says, I know you're totally attached to me. It was only out of eagerness to see your lotus face adorned with a frown that I teased you. So, so to joke with one's beloved, just like Krishna did to Rukmini, is actually one of the highest enjoyments for householders. But of course, it generates different emotions. So yes, this is home. This is home. This is the relationship of Kṛṣṇa to various, those that are very close to him. They all love him. Srila Prabhupada defined Vrindavan as the place where everyone is in intense love with Kṛṣṇa. So hopefully by hearing about the pastimes, we will also prepare ourselves. We are going through bhakti by instruction, but in time, by the mercy of the Lord, we'll give our hearts to bhakti. It grows on you. Little by little, you begin to like what you're doing, and then you begin to love what you're doing. And we're doing for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is how it starts. So we're rooting for everybody. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is the time to unmute yourself, dear devotees, and please join for comments or questions, but as you like, of course. Any questions or comments? Why? Hare Krishna. Saying, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept mine. All glories to the Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the wonderful class.
Krishna's mercy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of the pastimes you mentioned. I never heard the one where the Dwaraka residents recreated the Vrindavan scene. That was really beautiful.
Yeah. That was
And how
so
you
funny.
mentioned, and how like coming home is no, cheap process to achieve the love for Krishna. It's going to take patience and work. And thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. We have to work on ourselves, but we always have to remember the goal. To achieve Krishna is the greatest thing that anybody can have. The whole world is looking elsewhere. People who even say they know, they say some things that in their books about God, they don't even know who he is. They've never seen him. And if you've never seen him, it becomes hard to relate in love to a person you don't really know much about. So we're very fortunate. You come to Krishna consciousness, you get to see Krishna, a painting of Krishna. There's no doubt about that painting because you see it everywhere. You can identify Krishna easily. So we know who God is. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? If not, then we'd like to thank all of you for coming and have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. We are actually headed towards something that's really, really pleasant. It's out of this world in terms of the pleasure that's there in relating to Krishna. Thank you all. I saw your electronic thank yous. Vancha kalpatarubhishya kripa sindhivya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki